What's going on, guys? Grady here, representing CG Strength. Today we're going to be doing a video using the French contrast method. The French contrast method is valuable because what we're going to be aiming to do with the athletes is increase the rate of force production, which is in turn increasing the motor unit recruitment from the beginning of a movement, utilizing post-activation potentiation. What you do in the French contrast method is you go through, today we had an upper body push day. So what we had was one core movement, one body weight movement, a resisted movement, and an assisted movement. For our core movement for the press day, we chose to use a Z press. For our body weight movement, we went with a decline body weight push-up. Then we used explosive push press for our resisted movement. In the resisted movement, you want the weight to be comfortable enough for the athlete to explode it, but you still want it to be on the heavier end of their percentages. And then for our assisted movement, we chose the banded push-up. So when programming this exercises for the athletes, what I did was took in a resisted movement, followed up by a more explosive and ballistic movement where they could really explode, and their body is thinking that they still have the load applied. So they're recruiting more muscle units and muscle fibers to being able to be more explosive, which in turn result from these type of workouts is that they'll be more explosive from the jump, which eventually will result in higher maxes, potential like increases in resistance to injuries, etc. So after we went through 5 rounds of the French contrast training, we moved on to 3 accessory movements, and we went through for 4 rounds, but I would suggest you to go through 3 to 5 rounds at the most. For our 3 accessory movements, we went with a rack pull, so right below knee height. I like to have my athletes' knees right inside the knurling, reverse grip, or a double overhand. You're going here. Number one thing to really emphasize to yourself or your athlete is do not jerk the bar. We want to always get nice and tight with the bar and then pull. You never want to see somebody yanking. That's when your spine and form gets out of whack. From there, we moved on to a single arm kettlebell row where the athlete was leaning on a bench. They're pulling right hand like they're starting a lawnmower. Elbow's going to clear the body. We're going 8 reps each side there. And then banded face pull, so we just tied a thin red band around the rack, make a unibrow with the band, elbows nice and high is the key cue to emphasize here. We went 12 to 15, really try to get a 1 second squeeze to get that rear delts activated. So how I choose my accessory movements is I personally believe in almost 2 to 1ing the posterior chain. So I like to give the back, hamstrings, upper back, traps. I like to load those with almost twice the amount of volume I would give to the anterior. As you see in a lot of athletes, especially in my case, wrestlers, fighters, etc., they have weak low backs, weak upper backs, and weaker hamstrings, and they're more so always rolled forward or quad dominant. So it's really important for me to really incorporate posterior movements and up their volume there. All right, you guys, that's a wrap. Give this workout a try. Don't forget to like my shit, comment, subscribe. See you at the next one.